Right now, the entire world is in chaos due to the coronavirus. You may be tired of hearing about it, but the fact is it's not going to go away in a hurry. Whether you are currently in financial turmoil because of it, or you're afraid that you could be thrust into chaos at any moment, or you think it's not going to affect you, it's time to take a long, hard look at how you manage money and how to take control of it, so that you don't end up having a money disaster now or at some time in the future. You often hear a number of money gurus giving their best advice and telling everyone they should be doing a budget. Now, you might be surprised to hear me say this, but this is not the best advice. Don't waste your time doing a budget. Budgets do not work. Why? Because they are missing vital information. If you've ever done a budget, you already know that there's a problem with budgets. But I bet that you thought you were the problem and not the budget. Let me tell you something that may take a load off your shoulders. It was not you that was at fault when your budget failed. A budget is almost a useless document with a small percentage chance of it actually working. And my advice is, do not waste your time doing a budget. If you're surprised to hear me say that, I totally understand. All the money experts tell us to do a budget at the start of every year and other times. So we accept the fact that they must know what they're talking about. At some point in time, we give it a try, and it fails us. The part that frustrates me about this is because these guys are the acknowledged experts, we think we must be the problem. We don't think for 1 minute that maybe the advice was not the best. Let me say here, before I went searching for a better way to manage our family finances in 2003, I too had a budget. Yet I wasn't achieving my financial goals. We were doing okay, but I knew I could be doing much better. I found a budget quite limiting. Some vital information was missing. When creating my budget every year, I could not easily figure out how much the opening balance of my bills bank account needed to be to ensure the money for the fast approaching bills would be available. Yes, I had a bills account separate from my everyday spending, but I was always guessing if my bank balance was right, and most of the time I got it wrong. Also, unless I spent a lot of time calculating on a regular basis, I never knew on any day of the year if my bank balance was the right amount to ensure that all my upcoming expenses for the next 12 months would be covered. Again, I was always guessing, and most of the time I got it wrong. A budget is only two-dimensional, comparing only income to expenses. The biggest dimension that was missing was timing, the vital third dimension. The timings during the year of my incomes and timings of my many expenses were crucial. The third dimension made all the difference. I finally started to achieve my financial goals, and quickly. I am so glad that I stopped using a budget. So I'm going to show you why budgets are limiting and give you an insight into what really does work and what you should be doing instead of a budget. Okay, so here is a budget in a typical format that most people would use. It has income at the top, and then it has expenses below that. The expenses have been averaged down to the same cycle as the income so that they can be compared. However, it's not the averaged amounts you need when these things happen. You need the actual amount the thing costs you. So here is a different list showing the actual amounts, when they're due to happen next, and how often they happen. The figures in a budget have all been averaged, and this particular example, as we go down, you can see that all the money is used up and the budget has been balanced. So all per pay amounts, all averaged down so that you can compare the income with the expenses to see whether it works or not. However, it's totally useless information. It's not the averaged amounts that you need when these things happen. You need the actual amount the thing costs you. Not only that, you need the full amount of money when it is due. An average amount totally misses the fact that you might need the money next week. Timing is totally not included in a budget. Plus, did you know that paying regular installments on some quarterly and all annual bills costs you more money? Now, in this list, you can see that timing has been introduced because it shows dates and frequencies, as well as the actual amounts needed. I want to show you two families who have this exact same budget you see here. One will live happily ever after throughout the year ahead with no problems at all, and the other will spend the year in financial turmoil. What makes the difference? Adding the third dimension of timing and one simple number. The amount that they have in their bills account on day one. Family A has $4,000 at the start of the year. This is their spending plan display. The display will show in 3 different formats, which are all the results of all planned expenses entered for the coming year. The first format being visual, like a crystal ball of their next 12 months of spending. Balances are on the left vertically and dates shown horizontally. The green bars show the positive closing balance on the days either incomes or expenses have occurred. You can see that their entire year is in the green. Green is good. Every balance is above zero, and it all works. Family B have exactly the same expenses with exactly the same budget. But they have $1,000 in their account at the start of the year. And you can see that there are many times during the year when they are tearing their hair out and frustrated because they've run out of money, especially around the middle of the year when they are in total money stress. Red is not good. It is a deficit. Yet shows valuable information early and in many cases can be easily changed to green before the expenses actually occur. A budget never considers timing and when you actually need the money, so it fails miserably at doing what all the money experts tell us it's going to do for us. So why are they all telling us to do a budget? I have no idea. Maybe they just don't know any better. What you are looking at here is not a budget, but a spending plan. It factors in the timing of when you need to pay your bills and how much you need to pay at that time, rather than the average amounts that a budget uses. Here you can see all the transactions, the dates they fall due, and the frequencies they occur on. And this information is used to create the spending plan. You enter this information only once, like I did in 2003. And since then, I have just tweaked it and made adjustments. Let me show you how much more powerful a spending plan is compared to a budget. I'll go back to Family A. The spending plan gives them targets to hit for every day of the year. So they will be able to check on their progress throughout the year and make sure their plan is actually working. They have balances, almost like they have their own bank statement in advance before it happens, listing all of the transactions that are going to happen, the dates they fall due on, and what their target bank balance is after each transaction has occurred. That's the first major advantage. Most of us have no idea how much money we should have in our bank on any given day, So we end up guessing if we can afford to buy or do something we are considering or not. The second major advantage is just amazing. Let's go to Family B and look at the same budget with a different start balance. Here is their spending plan showing what is going to happen before it happens. Now they can see the year before it begins and they can take action to fix it. Check this out. With 7 simple changes that will barely impact on what they were hoping to do throughout the year, I will totally fix this plan and give them a successful year to enjoy rather than the nightmare they would have had. So here we go. They've been avoiding using their credit card. Now I'll go to their account list and you can see that they do have a credit card, but they've been avoiding using it because it always blows up into their face when they do use it. However, with the plan, that won't happen if they stick to their plan. So I'm going to take 3 payments that they are making at the moment via electronic funds transfer, and I'm going to delay them by a month by putting them on the credit card. So those transactions, change number 1, move the car insurance from the bills account to the credit card. Change 2, I'll move the internet connection to the credit card. And change number 3, I'll move the electricity to the credit card. So all 3 now are going to be paid basically a month later than they would have been. Now let's have a look at the plan. Okay, it's a little better, but it still has a lot of red. But we've only used up 3 of our 7 changes. Now it's obvious there is a shortfall, even though the income and expenses are pretty much in balance. A budget would say this should work, but the spending plan shows that it's not going to work and that there is still some work to be done on it. So John and Mary Citizen have decided to solve this problem. They need to get some extra money. $1,000 as their opening balance is not enough. So they've decided to take some of their unwanted possessions and they're going to sell them on Gumtree or maybe have a garage sale. And they bring in $350. Now that's not a great outcome, but we can add $350 to the start balance. So let's have a look at the plan. Still a lot of red, but things are starting to look a lot better. So that's change number 4. I've added the $350 to their start balance. There is still an obvious shortfall that needs to be overcome. John and Mary see that they can apply for a Centerlink benefit of an extra $80 per fortnight. So I'm going to increase their income, which is currently set to $2,029 to $2,109. Let's have a look and see what that's done. All right, we've made a massive change. Things are starting to look a lot better. That's change number 5. We've increased their income. There is still a problem, and they've decided, you know what? That camping trip that we've got scheduled for August, why don't we move it to later in the year? If we move it to October or November, that will still be okay. So I'll go to the list of transactions and move the camping trip from August, and I'm going to move it to November. So that's almost solved the problem. We just have a slight hiccup here and here. There's a $342 shortfall in June. So they've had a bit of think about it, and they've asked, what else can we do? They've made 6 changes, and I said that they could fix it in 7. What they've decided to do is they've got a savings plan, and they don't ever want to be caught out with no cash reserve ever again. But they decide tough times need tough decisions. So they delay the start of their saving plan by a couple of months. Instead of starting in April, they move it to June. Now let's have a look and see what that did. And now the whole year is green. In fact, on the worst day of the year, they've still got $57 as a slight buffer to get them through. So there you go. 7 changes, and I've turned what was going to be a disaster into a beautiful plan. And they've got targets for every time something happens. They know exactly where they need to be. So if they get behind, they can do something about it early on, rather than finding out that they needed to take action when it's too late. Problem solved. Now that John and Mary have virtually created their perfect spending year in the spending planner, the final step is to mirror their spending plan with their actual bank account. With the spending plan, you are virtually testing your spending first before you actually spend. Just think how many spending regrets would be avoided in the future. This means no more guessing if you can afford something, and you can have 100% confidence in your future spending. There you have it. Why would you ever bother with doing a budget when a spending plan is what you actually need? I created our spending plan in 2003, and I know all my bills will be covered, which has given me such peace of mind over the years. Also, my bills are automated because I know there will be money in the account when the bill is due. I know my target bank balances and that I am in the right place today. My spending plan tells me, it's time to spend, Sherry. It's time to buy little Johnny his birthday gift, or it's time to book that weekend getaway for our anniversary. My plan even shows me if I have too much money in my bills account, which gives me more spending options. A spending plan is like having a crystal ball of your perfect spending year ahead, and also like a GPS of the steps to follow to ensure you arrive at your chosen destination. Of course, at times you may deviate from your course, yet with the spending plan you can easily and quickly be directed back to reach your chosen destination. There is an old saying that goes like this: when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. When is the second best time? Right now. As you can see, creating a spending plan will make your financial journey so much easier and less stressful. So don't put it off any longer. It's too important. Plan your less stressful money tree today. Contact myself, have a chat, and find out how easy it is to get started on your spending plan journey and finally achieve your financial goals. The skills and habits you will learn from your spending planner and my online spending planner course will keep you in good stead for the rest of your life. As a spending planner, I do not just give you a fish a day so that you are dependent on me. I empower you with financial literacy, which you were never taught in school. I teach you how to fish for yourself so that you can then teach your children, as they too are not being taught about money in school. Every child will become a money manager. They have no choice in the matter. The only choice is whether your child becomes a good money manager or a bad money manager. One of the best gifts in life is the wisdom of money. Teach your children the truth about money. A spending plan changes families' lives and also future generations. Thanks for listening, and I invite you to be curious to learn more. I am Sherry Dumbrell from Essential Spending Planner.